1. What's up, Crown community? This is Aubrey. Welcome to another episode of Crown Gambit. So, we are in the Book of Boba Fett. I just watched the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Episode 6, Chapter 6. It is 4:31 p.m. I decided to do this review a little bit later than our usual time, which was the 12 a.m., only because I felt like that was a little too late, especially when we have like work to, work the next day or the same day. So much to talk about this episode. For all you guys, thank you and welcome to this. Hold on, let me fix this camera real quick. It's the thing about setting up in the phone. You had to adjust the frames. All right. So the title of this is "From the Desert Comes a Stranger." We start off with, of course, Mos Pelgo, and Luke Skywalker. This is an episode without Boba Fett, or maybe we do get like maybe one scene of Boba Fett, but this is another Mandalorian episode, and I wasn't sure. I was wrong about it actually. I thought that Mando was going to come out maybe towards the end of the episode, but I'm not sure. Is this going to be the last episode of the season, or are we going to get another chapter 7? But either way, I love this episode. We get a Luke Skywalker again ever since season 2, the last chapter of The Mandalorian season 2. Let me fix this again. I swear this phone is tripping out. Sorry about that. Let me just adjust. Cool. I want to talk about the Luke Skywalker scenes. The de-aging design process is incredible. It's actually a lot more flawless. It's flawless than what we've seen in the last time we saw Luke Skywalker in I forget what chapter. I think it was chapter 16, which is the rescue. I thought at first that he was a actor, but I guess they're still using the same technology to de-age him, and we're getting more of a close-up of Luke Skywalker. So I was really surprised at that. I thought maybe Sebastian Stan was hired to maybe place Luke Skywalker for this episode, but he looks nothing like Sebastian Stan. So I was on the fence as far as like if it's an actor or if they're using a better technology to de-age him, because even in in that one episode it was a bit rough. We didn't know. It wasn't as clean and crisp. A lot of people were complaining about, they should have deepfaked it because it wasn't as good as, a lot of the deepfakes that we've seen in the internet. So I see two of you guys are in the video in the crowd. If you guys have any comments about this episode, let's talk about it. This is a live review on this episode. Again, I'm doing this live. We're getting flashbacks of the Purge, of Grogu and 3 Jedis I don't recognize. I'm not sure if those Jedis appeared in the comic books or in the earlier films, but we get 3 Jedis that get killed off of the clones. And I'm still thinking, who saved Grogu though? Because those clones killed the Jedis, so they were after Grogu while he was in his little crib. So I'm sure somebody came in, maybe a Jedi came in and saved him. I don't know if it was R2-D2 or if it was a Jedi, but yeah, somebody came in to perhaps kill those clones and save Grogu. So we don't know yet because we only seen a glimpse of what happened during the time when he was almost abducted by these clones. And of course, we do get a Ahsoka Tano. We get Ahsoka Tano. She reprises. Rosario Dawson reprises her role, coming back as Ahsoka Tano. Of course, they are working in production with Ahsoka Tano and her series. Also, there is I believe in the story of Ahsoka Tano, we're going to get more of what's going on after The Mandalorian Season 2. So she is looking for Thrawn, right? Is it Thrawn? Yeah. So the guy from Rebels, right? The blue guy. So we're gonna get a story of her looking for General Thrawn. I think it's Thrawn. I'm not sure if I got that correctly, but we get like a good glimpse of her during this episode, which I'm really happy about because I really do miss Ahsoka Tano. I didn't know if we were going to see her again. Even in our last episode review, the live review that we did, I even said that there's no way we're going to get Ahsoka Tano on the Boba Fett series because it wouldn't make sense. But I guess it makes sense in this episode because this is during the training of Grogu. Um, and we're going to talk, I want to talk more about that later on because there is talks about the comic books and if they're going to retcon like the last 7, 8, 9 episode of Star Wars because we don't know if it's still canon or if it's going to be retcon. So the end of this series, which we're going to get down deep into, Luke Skywalker decides to give Grogu a choice. Let me fix this camera again, and I swear this phone just keeps. There you go. Luke Skywalker gives Grogu a choice, either to take the chainmail or to take the lightsaber, which was personally Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. So we don't know what he chooses yet because obviously the writers decided to leave us in a cliffhanger. So rewind a little bit. So Luke starts teaching Grogu about the Force jump. A lot of the Jedi's know about the Force jump. There's a Force push. There's a just the Force, and I guess this is one of the steps of of the training sessions. And while he's training Grogu, we find out that the temple is being built. So this is the temple that I believe is also in the comic books or in the novels or in the books, where Luke starts building his temple and Grogu becomes his first student, as it's told here in this episode. And this temple is being built by spiders, like robotic spiders. So I've never seen those spiders before, but it just makes sense because Luke is by himself. He can't just build a temple all by himself. I mean, maybe he can because he's a Jedi. He can just lift a few of these boulders and put together this pyramid temple. But it's good to see that there are droids that are helping him build this. That way, he has more time to train Grogu. And the training of Grogu is reminiscent to the time during the training, the time when Luke was being trained by Yoda. So having Grogu kind of wrapped behind him like a backpack is so reminiscent to that episode 2 of Star Wars. So we get a lot of callbacks to the old original Star Wars, which is really cool. And we see that Luke also trains Grogu using the training remote, which was also used during the older episodes, episode 2 of Star Wars, Attack of the Clones, when Yoda also starts training the younglings how to use the floating training remote, which is also cool because that's nostalgic. There's a lot of callbacks. There's just so many callbacks about this episode. I mean, we get a lot of older characters from season 2. We get characters from. We're going to talk about what happens with Clone Wars. We get Ahsoka Tano. There's Boba Fett, there's Fennec and Boba Fett and his team. There's Black Krassensen. We get so many characters all built up into this one episode. And I'm just so giddy and so excited. I'm just lost for words right now. And I'm in awe as to what happened with this episode. There's just so much going on with this episode. And now we find out that, of course, Mos Espa, Fennec, strategizes in cornering the Pikes. But in able to do that, they need foot soldiers. They need more muscle. Unfortunately, the people that they have is not enough because the Pikes are a bigger group, a bigger team. And they're being run by a stronger character. So that brings Din to meet up with Cobb Vanth, which is in I believe it's in Mos Espa or Mos Pelgo, but it's no longer called Mos Pelgo anymore. It's they renamed the city to Freedom something. I think it's called Freedom Land or whatever they call it. And of course, Cobb Vanth decides not to go with him because his people are farmers. They're not soldiers. They can't fight that good fight. I mean, that one time with the crate dragon was an exception because the crate. I mean, they couldn't even fight the crate dragon. Not until decided to train them a little bit or help them strategize with with the people of Mos Espa. So the big moment of this episode. Let me fix this camera. This camera just has like a mind of its own. The big moment of this episode is this one scene. So Din Djarin leaves him, and we see a silhouette shadow from afar. And I didn't know at first who it was, but as the figure started to get closer, I recognized the hat, the cloak, and just the build of this character. We get Cad Bane. Cad Bane comes in to this episode, live action. We get a live action Cad Bane, and I was just lost for words. I did not know how to react. I was not ready for that. I did not even think that Cad Bane was gonna end up in this episode. So just seeing more characters from Clone Wars, Rebels, just come in, live action. It's amazing. This to me, I think Din Djarin is like the Iron Man, or like the Nick Fury of Star Wars. He started with the Mandalorian, and he's building like this crew, and he's bringing back all these characters from different different seasons, like different animations, and he's bringing them together in this one scene. And I think that's really great. Again, we don't see too much Boba Fett here, but I am really glad to see more Mandalorian and the story, and as far as like him trying to get back and reunite with Grogu. And of course, Ahsoka was telling Mando, if you do this, it's not going to be good for him. It's going to mess up his training because he's too attached to you. And I told you it was going to be a bad idea. And so Din Djarin decided, okay, you know what? I don't want to mess up his training, but I do want to give him a gift. So he gave this little handkerchief, which is a chainmail made out of Beskar, that perhaps he can use when he's growing up. Maybe he can melt it down and turn it into an armor. That way he can use have Beskar armor while he's trained as a Jedi. So I don't know. I think season 3 of The Mandalorian is going to be focusing more on Mando trying to get Grogu, because I don't know. Are we the last episode? I'm not really sure, because this is the 6th episode. I thought there were going to be 7 or 8, but they left us with a big cliffhanger. Okay, and the big cliffhanger is going to determine if Grogu decides to take the lightsaber. Then supposedly in the books, in the novels, Kylo Ren kills Grogu, but from what I'm hearing and reading, that they're retconning the Star Wars episodes 7, 8, and 9. So supposedly that's no more part of the timeline, or that's just be considered lore, or it's not going to be continued or in relations to the Star Wars films and series. So I'm not really sure. So that last cliffhanger really left everyone thinking, okay, so if he does take the lightsaber, then I guess episodes 7, 8, and 9 is connected. But if he takes the chainmail, then that just creates a time paradox, right? And with that being said, if he does take the chainmail and decides to just go with Din, then episodes 7, 8, and 9 will no longer exist. But at the same time, there are some scenes in the episode of I think it's called the Siege. I think it's called the Siege, where Mando and his team, when he goes back to Tatooine, Mando and his team find out that there are clones. There's these capsules of like clones that look somewhat similar to Snoke clones. So we don't know. Also, in Bad Batch, we find out at the end, last episode of Bad Batch, the doctor who was a clone, or the Camino people, the Camino alien, the doctor, the female doctor, was invited into the facility of the Empire, and that was a cloning facility. So, our is episode 789 retcon? Is it still part of the continuing timeline of this? We don't know yet. And that's what's. I guess we're gonna in the next episode of this season we're gonna find out depending on what Grogu decides. Either if he's gonna get the lightsaber or if he's gonna go with the chainmail. So yeah, guys, I really love this episode. I really did not think. If you have any comments, of course, let me know how you feel about this episode. I did not expect Din Djarin to come back in this next episode. I thought that maybe he was gonna come back in the last episode. Seeing Cad Bane was just crazy. I I was hearing rumors about it. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought maybe it was going to happen in season 2, but just the design of Cad Bane is just perfect. He looked exactly like the Cad Bane in Clone Wars and also in Bad Batch. So I'm loving the design. They made. I mean, it was just flawless. I just love it. I'm still on the fence with Luke Skywalker. The digital design, the aging design is so good. I At first I really thought that maybe they did find an actor to play Luke Skywalker because they really cleaned up the design. If you compare it to the design of I think it's chapter 16 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, which is the rescue, compare the designs, compare the faces. Like, you could tell how much they cleaned up and just remastered all the edging of Luke Skywalker. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I can talk about with this. Cobb Vanth is still alive. He got shot in the shoulder while his friend got shot up by Bane. So I guess what's gonna happen is Cobb Vanth is gonna go back to, he's gonna go talk to Din, right? And he's gonna say, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna need your help now because these spice pushers are being controlled, are being controlled by Bane. So he's not just a bounty hunter. He's one of the top bounty hunters out there. Maybe like first or second to Boba Fett. I mean, he was one of the number one bounty hunters before Boba Fett became Boba Fett. I mean, before Boba Fett was our Boba Fett. Our famous Boba Fett. So yeah, he's there, and I think he's gonna give Boba Fett a run for his money. I wonder if they're gonna explain the dent with Boba Fett's helmet. I mean, if you guys watch the Clone Wars, you know that the dent on his helmet was actually done by Cad Bane. So I'm sure. I mean, they're gonna run into each other. They're gonna bump into each other, and there's gonna be a brawl. You're gonna have some old Western Dirty Harry scenes there. I mean, a lot of the scenes was a lot of references to Western films. A lot of the Dirty Harry stuff. So I'm really loving this episode. This season's getting better and better. I don't know if it's getting better because Mando's in it or because Din Djarin is getting it, but I was very excited the first time Din Djarin he reprised his role and he came in on the previous episode to this. So again, I wasn't expecting him to come back. I was so happy to see him again, and yeah. So so John Martin caught your little comment there. So we need flashbacks. Let me go back, guys, because it disappears the moment. Hold on. So there is a comment. Okay, I have to go back in this because I am using my phone on this, guys. So bear with. Okay, so John Martin, we need the flashback of Bubba and Cad Bane. Yes, 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 John. I agree with you. We definitely need a flashback of that. But here's my question to you, though, John. Was I'm not sure if I recall this episode, but was Boba Fett, was he in full Mandalorian gear at the time? I'm guessing he was because that's that's how he got his dent, right? That's how he got the dent on the helmet. But I don't remember it in Clone Wars. So supposedly it was told or it was talked about in Clone Wars, but did they even have a scene on that during their shootout? Yeah, but definitely we need a flashback of that. That way we can that way they can explain more about the just that dent. But yeah, thank you for that comment, John. Yeah, definitely. If you guys have any more comments about this episode, I don't know, guys. This is by far. I'm gonna say this is maybe like second to the best episode of this season. The I think the first best episode would be like the first episode, which is chapter one, because during that episode we do get a a explanation of what happened to Boba Fett, how he and we needed that. We needed that flashback. We needed the explanation as to how he escaped the Sarlacc pit. Of course, he like I mentioned in our last video, he did. The Boba Fett was that spicy jalapeno that gave that Starlight Pit a heartburn. So yeah, I don't know. I have to rewatch the episodes again in this season and see if I can rate the episodes from like top to bottom and see which one's the best episode or which one's the least of my episode. I mean, I do have a least episode, but this is a great episode, and just seeing all these characters come back again is. Now let me see your comment there again, John. Hold on. See, I wonder why. Okay, I see it now. Okay, Freetown. Oh yeah, Freetown was the name. Thanks, John. Freetown was the name of well, it's no longer Mos Pelgo, so they called it Freetown now. And then John, you said they only ever done in an animatic. Yes, that I remember. When Clone Wars. Okay, let me repeat your question, your comment, John. They only ever done in an animatic when Clone Wars got canceled. They kind of did the shootout in the Bad Batch. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. I do remember the animatic. So, okay, so that animatic was never, I guess, added to it. But, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They only kind of did the shootout in Bad Batch. I don't. Was Boba Fett in Bad Batch? Was he like a teen? Did we get a teenage Boba Fett? I'm not. I don't remember Boba Fett being in Bad. Are you talking about Bad Batch at the episode in Clone Wars, or are you talking about the Bad Batch season? Because yeah, I don't recall Boba Fett being in the season of Bad Batch. But if you're talking about the episode of Bad Batch in season, was it 7, the last season of Clone Wars, then yeah, maybe that's what it is. So yeah, thanks for that comment, John. And yeah, I agree with you. They definitely should do more flashbacks of that because Boba Fett and Cad Bane, they've had a history together with Hunter and Cad Bane shootout. Yeah, so okay, that was okay. Thanks, John. So okay, the Hunter Cad Bane was definitely the Bad Batch season, the very first season of Bad Batch. Okay, this okay. Now I remember. So Hunter. Okay, so Cad Bane came in. He was hired to take Omega. Correct. So he was hired to abduct Omega, and then Hunter came in and tried to save Omega, and then Cad Bane was like, well, I forget what he said, but he said something really cocky, and he said, I could take you out, right? And Hunter was like, trying to, like, Hunter being like the top dog of his team. There was no way he could have taken down Cad Bane. I mean, Cad Bane was notorious for his work as like maybe before even Boba Fett. He was notorious for his work as a bounty hunter. So yes, he shot Hunter and he took Omega. And I think that was, I'm not sure, but I think that was maybe the last episode of that season of Bad Batch. And this is when they took that scientist. There you go. Yeah. So they took that scientist. I'm not sure if this is the last episode. I believe it was. They took the scientist from Camino and have her work on the facility of the cloning facility from the for the Empire. So yeah, a lot of things are coming back to me now. I'm gonna have to rewatch a lot of these Clone Wars and this the Rebels and Bad Batch again, just to refresh myself. Let me know, guys, if you guys know anything about how many more episodes we have on the season, because we are now in the 6th season, and that cliffhanger looked like a cliffhanger to the next season, which I was afraid of. Again, I've repeated this already in this live review, but that scene alone with Grogu making a decision with the lightsaber and the chainmail is going to determine the continuity and the canonizing episodes 7, 8, and 9. Wait, yeah, 7, 8, and 9 of Star Wars. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to cut this short now. Thank you guys for viewing this video. Thank you for being here in this live. Oh, so 7, okay, exactly. So 1 left, 7. Okay, so thank you so much, John. I appreciate that. I didn't check on that. I didn't do my research on how many episodes. Okay, cool. 7. I thought it was 8, but I guess we are going with 7. This is like a typical. This is like a typical number that Marvel Disney likes to use. I think maybe even Moon Knight, the next superhero series coming to Disney Plus, it might be like 7 or 8. So this is like their typical number that they use with their series. Which is cool. I don't like a series being too long. I know that Clone Wars had 12 to 14 episodes per season, and before I even started watching Clone Wars, somebody recommended, a friend of mine recommended Clone Wars to me, and I wasn't really a big fan of the animated Star Wars series until my buddy, who's like a big time Star Wars fan, he's like, hey, you know what, Aubrey, go check out Clone Wars because it really ties in and explains, like it fills in all the gaps from episodes 2 and 3, because like episodes 2 and 3 was like 6 or 7 years apart from each other, right? And so they had a gap, and so I decided to watch Clone Wars. Even maybe the first season of Clone Wars, it was a bit slow for me. Even the second season was a bit slow, but when I started continuing and watching maybe getting started with the third, fourth season, that's when Clone Wars started getting more interesting for me. And after that, they introduced the Bad Batch in seasons 7. Is it 7 or 8 of like the last season of Clone Wars? They introduced the Bad Batch. It's their introductory to their spin-off, because they knew they were going to make a Bad Batch spin-off. So I was intrigued with the Bad Batch. I love the Bad Batch because it did explain the Purge. It was during the time of the Purge. It was during the time of Episode 3 of Star Wars. So I really, really like that continuum of Bad Batch. And now we're getting more. We're getting more stuff about cloning. So again, this Palpatine cloning and Snoke, and I'm still on the fence right now as far as like if they're going to connect this together. But I guess we're going to find out next week, not tomorrow. Next week's episode, which is the last episode. And thank you, John, for marking that the last episode of the Book of Boba. And after this season, we're going to be getting more animated Star Wars series. I made a list actually. They made up a list of the order of. Let me check that real quick. Of which Star Wars series is coming next after this one. So we're not going to get a Mandalorian season 3 right away. They're still building that in production, and I think they're still working on Kenobi. Actually, they've been filming Kenobi lately, and there was an interview with Pedro Pascual. It was an actor interviewing actor video, and Pedro was talking to Ewan McGregor and asking him like, "How'd you feel about the set?" Right? And Ewan McGregor's like, "I love it. We're not using green screen anymore. We're using the same technology that you guys were using, and Feige was using. Not Feige. I'm sorry. That Dave Filoni and the writers are using in The Mandalorian. So I'm glad that we're not in green screen anymore, because when during the George Lucas times, they were all green screen, so they couldn't reenact with the green screen. They have to pretend things were there because it's all green screen. They couldn't really see anything. But now that Ewan McGregor gets a chance to use this new technology that they use with the Mandalorian, even the Book of Boba, they use the same technology. He was happy about that. He was telling Pedro Pascal, yeah, like I get to see everything. It's like, if we want a ship in there, we just put it in there. If we want like a set in the foreground, we'll just put like some practical stuff. Like everything doesn't have to be digital anymore, right? It doesn't have to be CGI anymore. So let me get some Coke, guys. 'Cause my mouth is drying from all this talk about Star Wars. I'm so excited about this episode. Again, I'm lost for words because of everything that's happened in this episode. It's everything I can dream about. Again, I do like the Boba Fett series. It's a build up. I do like the flashbacks. I think that maybe they could have cut down on the but I don't know. I could be wrong. But now I'm appreciating the flashbacks more. I'm hoping that we're gonna get more flashbacks of Grogu during his time in the Jedi Temple. Well, was he in the Jedi Temple? Yeah, or was he in the Jedi Temple in Naboo? I'm not sure. But when he was in Temple and during the Order 66 purge, I hope they explain it next week on next week's episode. Who saved Grogu, right? Yeah. So I don't know if it was Ahsoka. No, definitely was not Ahsoka, because Ahsoka didn't recognize Grogu in the episode called "The Jedi and the Mandalorian." So it was definitely not Ahsoka. So who saved him? Maybe another Jedi, perhaps. Are we going to see another Jedi in the next episode of this series? Maybe or maybe not. Yeah. So that's that, guys. If you guys want to reach me, you can find me in AubreyFreely_81. That is my Instagram. I am doing this review late. Usually we do these live reviews around like 1:00 a.m. Right after the episode's launch. So I'm thinking of doing it around this time only because it just gives me more time and no rush, and it's not too late, right? Yeah. So again, I'm gonna give this episode like an 8 out of 10. Actually, no, I'm gonna give this episode a 10 out of 10. What am I thinking about? I'm going crazy. 10 out of 10. Thank you again, John Martin, for the conversation. I look forward to more of you guys to go ahead and post your comments and let me know how you think about this episode. I know you guys are going crazy right now because of all the cameos, all the characters coming in. Yeah. I did not know what to say. Even during my reaction, I barely said anything because I was in awe. I was surprised to see Cat being there. Are we gonna see a de-aging? Okay, I'm gonna go crazy if we see Han Solo and Chewbacca come back. If we see Han Solo, a de-aged digital Han Solo and Chewbacca just come back and perhaps maybe join Boba Fett's team. Is that even possible? I mean, don't they still have grudges? Right? I mean, Boba Fett's gonna be like, "Hey, you're the reason why. You're the reason why I'm dead, and I end up in a Sarlacc pit, you son of a bitch." So I don't know how that's gonna work. Or are we going to have a Boba Fett season 2, the Book of Boba Fett season 2, and perhaps the first episode of the Boba Fett season 2 will find a young Han Solo Chewbacca. Oh my gosh, there's just so many potential right now. I mean, if we have a Cad Bane, a live action Cad Bane, there's so much potential right now for all these other characters from the animated films too. All right, guys. So that's that. Guys, go ahead and like and subscribe to this video. Thanks again, John Martin, for your response. I am working on the next chain reaction video. It's not going to be on this one. It's going to be maybe the episode 2 of the Book of Boba. Go ahead and check out our Patreon and check out all the benefits and tiers, and under the tiers, all the benefits that come with it. Also, if you'd like to go ahead and give us a tip, check us out on our Buy Me a Coffee if you want to buy us coffee, starting at $1 to like $5 and up. And of course, that's Dave right there making his cameo in this video while this camera keeps like focusing on trying to get to him. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot, guys. I really enjoyed this episode, and yeah, take care and have a great day. Drive safe and be blessed. Peace, guys.